What if a 1-cent coin sitting in your old collection could be worth thousands of dollars? Today, we're examining 3 U.S. wheat pennies that look ordinary at first glance, but can become surprisingly valuable when condition, mint marks, and rare varieties come into play. Stay until the end. The next coin might be the treasure you've been looking for. Imagine reaching into an old jar of coins and finding a 1952 D. Lincoln wheat penny. You might think, it's just another wheat penny. And honestly, most examples are exactly that. But experienced collectors know that the 1952 D deserve a closer look, especially when the coin has exceptional original color, sharp details, and a premium mint state grade. At first glance, this may seem ordinary, but experienced collectors know that the small D mint mark beneath Lincoln's portrait deserves a closer look. The 1952 D was struck at the Denver Mint during an era when the United States was deeply involved in the Korean War. Imagine this coin entering circulation in 1952 while American families were following news from Korea, while post-war America was expanding rapidly, and while the nation was moving deeper into the modern industrial age. This wasn't a rare coin when it was produced. In fact, Denver struck approximately 746.13 million 1952 D. Lincoln cents. The coin is made of the traditional bronze composition used for Lincoln cents of this era, 95% copper with tin and zinc, and it weighs about 3.11 grams. On the obverse, you'll see Victor David Brenner's familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. The word liberty appears to the left, the date 1952 appears on the right, and the familiar motto I in God, we trust runs across the upper portion of the design. Look beneath the date area and you'll find the tiny D. That single letter tells you the coin was produced at Denver. Flip the penny over and you'll see the famous wheat reverse. 2 wheat ears framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum above. So where does the excitement begin? This is where many new collectors make a mistake. They see an unusual-looking mint mark, a scratch, or a distorted letter and immediately assume they've discovered a valuable mint error. But experienced collectors understand that damage after the coin leaves the mint can look dramatic too. The 1952 D has recognized varieties involving the mint mark, including over mint mark varieties, and PCGS also lists a 1952 D/S over mint mark die variety. These are the kinds of details that need to be studied carefully rather than guessed from a photograph. A genuine variety or error should have characteristics consistent with the minting process. A random dent, gouge, polishing mark, or squeeze-looking letter isn't automatically valuable. And then there's condition. This is where a common coin can become an uncommon opportunity. A circulated 1952 D may be worth only a modest amount above face value, but an exceptionally preserved example with original red color and outstanding surfaces can be dramatically different. Here's the part that surprises many people. PCGS recorded an auction result of $3,840 for a 1952 D. Lincoln cent graded MS67 plus red, sold through Heritage Auctions in 2023. So, for an exceptional scenario, a hypothetical high-end collector value could reach around $3,800 or more based on that documented result. Not because every 1952 D is valuable, but because an extraordinary grade combined with exceptional preservation can transform the market value. That distinction is critical. If you have a 1952 D, don't automatically assume you found a $4,000 penny. Instead, examine Lincoln's cheek, jaw, hair, and the fields around the portrait. On the reverse, inspect the wheat ears, lettering, and open fields for contact marks. And whatever you do, never clean, polish, or chemically treat the coin. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and potentially destroy the very quality collectors are willing to pay for. Now let's move forward 2 years. The date is 1954 and the mint mark is again D. At first glance, the 1954 D may look almost identical to the 1952 D, same Lincoln portrait, same wheat reverse, same basic bronze composition. But there is something fascinating about this coin. The Denver Mint produced approximately 251,552,500 examples of the 1954 D. Lincoln cent. That's a huge production number, which means a normal coin isn't rare simply because it's old. Imagine this coin entering American commerce in 1954. The Korean War had ended the previous year. The United States was entering a period of enormous social and technological change, and Americans were watching major events unfold, including the famous Army McCarthy hearings. Yet, ordinary life continued. A penny could have been handed across a grocery counter, dropped into a vending machine, or carried home in a child's pocket. And that's part of what makes these coins fascinating. The 1954 D carries Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, with "I in God we trust liberty" and the date 1954 surrounding the design. Beneath Lincoln's portrait is the D mint mark identifying Denver production. On the reverse are the familiar wheat stalks and the inscriptions 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum. But what truly matters is not simply the date. It's what happened to the coin after it was struck. The 1954 D is known for repunched mint-mark varieties, including recognized 1954 D/D/D RPM varieties. A repunch mint mark occurs when the minting process leaves evidence of more than one impression in the mint mark area. This is exactly where collectors need patience. A shadow near the D isn't automatically an RPM. A crooked-looking D isn't automatically an RPM. And damage around the mint mark isn't the same thing as a genuine die variety. Professional authentication and attribution can make the difference between a fascinating-looking penny and a properly documented collectible. Now, let's talk about the condition that can make the 1954 D story genuinely shocking. The normal circulated example isn't a fortune, but an exceptionally preserved, high-grade red example can be a completely different story. According to PCGS Coin Facts, a 1954 D Lincoln Cent graded MS67 Plus Red brought $7,638 at Heritage Auctions in 2015. Think about that for a moment. A coin with a 1 cent face value. A coin produced in the hundreds of millions. A coin that most people would casually dismiss as common. Yet an extraordinary example reached $7,638 at auction. For this exceptional scenario, a hypothetical high-end collector value could approach roughly $7,600 based on that documented auction record. This is an exceptional result, not the normal value of a 1954 D penny. So what should you look for? Start with the color. Collectors generally distinguish between brown, and red surfaces. Original red color that has survived decades without heavy oxidation or environmental damage can be particularly desirable. Next, inspect Lincoln's portrait. Look at the cheek, jaw, hair, and field for marks. Then flip the coin and examine the wheat ears and lettering. A coin can have great color, but still lose significant value because of scratches, spots, or contact marks. If you're specifically investigating the repunched mint mark variety, don't rely on your eyes alone. Compare the mint mark with reliable references and consider professional attribution. And remember this warning: never clean the coin. That shiny appearance created by polishing isn't the same as original mint luster. In many cases, cleaning can actually make a potentially valuable coin less desirable. The mystery of the 1954 D isn't that every example is rare. The mystery is whether yours happens to be one of those unusually preserved examples, or contains a recognized variety that collectors actively seek. Now we reach the oldest coin in today's group, the 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny. And this one has something the other two coins don't have immediately visible. If your 1946 penny has no mint mark, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Imagine this coin entering circulation just after the end of World War II. American soldiers were returning home. Factories were transitioning from wartime production. Families were rebuilding their lives, and the United States was entering a completely new post-war era. That means when you hold a 1946 wheat penny, you're holding a tiny survivor from one of America's most important transitions. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 991,655,000 Lincoln cents dated 1946, making this a very high mintage issue. So let's make something clear. Age alone does not make a 1946 penny rare. On the front, you'll find Abraham Lincoln facing right, with liberty to his left and 1946 to his right. The motto "I in God we trust" sits above his portrait. There is no mint mark beneath the date, because this particular coin was made at Philadelphia. Turn it over and the classic wheat reverse appears, with 2 wheat ears surrounding 1 cent in United States of America. This design was nearing the end of its long run. The Lincoln wheat reverse would continue through 1958 before the Lincoln Memorial reverse replaced it in 1959. So what could possibly make a 1946 penny interesting to serious collectors? The answer is condition. And this is where many new collectors make another mistake. They see a huge mintage number and assume the coin can never be valuable. But mintage is only part of the story. Millions were made. Millions circulated. Millions were exposed to moisture, friction, dirt, chemicals, and careless handling. The question isn't simply, how many were made? The question is, how many survived in exceptional condition? PCGS records an astonishing auction result of $14,950 for a 1946 Philadelphia Lincoln Cent graded MS-67, sold through heritage auctions. Now pause there. Nearly 1 billion coins were produced. Yet an exceptional certified example reached almost $15,000. For this exceptional scenario, a hypothetical high-end collector value could approach around $15,000 based on that documented auction record. But this is absolutely not the typical value of a 1946 wheat penny. Most circulated examples are far more modestly valued. What creates a dramatic difference is a combination of grade, preservation, original surfaces, color designation, eye appeal, and collector demand. If you have a 1946 penny, examine the fields first. Are they heavily scratched? Does Lincoln's cheek have noticeable contact marks? Is the original luster still visible? Does the coin show natural red, red-brown, or brown coloration? On the reverse, inspect the wheat stalks and lettering for sharpness and signs of wear. Also look closely for unusual doubling or other suspected varieties. But don't confuse machine doubling or postmint damage with a genuine double die. Authentication is critical because photographs can be deceptive, especially when you're dealing with tiny features on a coin only about 19 millimeters across. A professional grading service can examine strike quality, surface preservation, color, luster, wear, and other characteristics before assigning an official grade. And there's another important warning. If you think your 1946 penny looks unusually bright, do not polish it. Do not use vinegar. Do not use chemicals. Do not rub it with a cloth. Do not attempt to restore it. Collectors want to see what the coin naturally became over the decades, not what someone tried to make it look like yesterday. Because when you hold a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny, you're not simply holding copper. You're holding a small piece of American history. You're holding a coin produced in the immediate aftermath of a world war, a coin that may have passed to the hands of returning veterans, families, workers, children, and businesses during one of the greatest transitions in American history. And that's why even a common coin can be worth examining. The money is only one part of the story. So what do we discover? The 1952 D can become surprisingly valuable when exceptional preservation and high mint state quality come together. With a documented PCGS auction record of $3,840 for an MS-67 plus red example. The 1954 D shows an even more dramatic possibility, with a documented $7,638 auction result for an MS-67 plus red specimen. And the 1946 Philadelphia wheat penny proves that even a high mintage coin can become extraordinary in elite condition, with a documented auction record of $14,950 for an MS-67 example. But remember, the biggest mistake you can make is assuming that every old wheat penny is worth thousands. Most are not. The real opportunity comes from identifying the unusual combination of date, mint mark, variety, error status, condition, color, and authentic collector demand. So take another look before putting that old penny away. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Study the surfaces. Look for genuine varieties, not damage. And if something truly looks special, consider professional authentication before making any claims about its value. Because the next coin you examine could be ordinary, or it could be the one you almost threw away. And that's the fascinating part of collecting. You never really know what you're holding until you look closely.